In the shadowed hollows of West Virginia, where industrial landscapes meet ancient mysteries, a winged harbinger of doom once stalked the night. The legend of the Mothman looms large over Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Described as a terrifying, human-sized creature with large wings and piercing red eyes, the Mothman was reportedly seen by numerous residents in the year leading up to the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge in December 1967. Many believe the Mothman was not just a cryptid but a supernatural omen, appearing as a warning of the impending disaster. Its silent, watchful presence, a chilling premonition of tragedy for those who encountered it.
This was sent in by someone driving from Ohio to North Carolina late one night. He didn't think much of the gas stop until the next day. I was on my way to visit my brother, taking the back roads through West Virginia to avoid traffic on I-77. It was past midnight, and my tank was dangerously low. I pulled off near a small town called Glade Springs. Just off the 2-lane road was a single-pump gas station. Old school, a glowing red sign and peeling paint on the siding. Inside, it looked like any rural convenience store. Shelves of jerky, old coffee pots, scratch-off tickets taped to the counter. A guy stood behind the register, late 30s maybe, long hair tucked into a camo hat. Didn't say much, just nodded at me. I grabbed a bottle of water and paid in cash. That's when I noticed the second guy. Through the doorway behind the counter, what looked like a stockroom, I saw someone else walk past. Wearing a red flannel, wiping his hands with a rag. I pointed. "Busy night, huh?" The clerk didn't respond, just kept his eyes on me. I left it alone, got back in my car, and finished fueling up. As I was leaving, I saw both of them, one at the window, one in the back, just watching me. No movement, no wave, just staring. It weirded me out enough that I mentioned it to a friend who lived nearby. He laughed and said, "That place? It's been self-serve for years. No employees, you just pump and swipe." I didn't believe him. So I drove back the next day, out of curiosity. Same place, same sign. But this time, the door was locked, dust on the glass, lights off inside. I drove around back. There was a rusted-out truck with 2 flat tires. No footprints, no fresh tire marks, no sign of life. When I looked through the side window, I could see the register still sitting there. The counter was covered in a fine layer of dust, but there was something new taped to the inside of the window. A photo. It was blurry, but it was me at the pump. And behind me, standing in the doorway, was the man in red flannel, smiling. This was sent by a couple who went hiking in Monongahela National Forest last fall. They camped just one night. But something changed while they slept. My girlfriend and I do a lot of weekend hikes, nothing extreme, just scenic trails, campfires, and a break from work. Last October, we picked a 2-day loop trail near Spruce Knob. We brought a printed map from the ranger station and double-checked our GPS. Weather was perfect. No one else on the trail. By sunset, we were 2 miles in. Found a great clearing just off the main path. We pitched the tent, had a fire, ate canned chili, and passed out by 10. Here's where it starts getting weird. The next morning, I rolled over to grab the map from my bag, same spot I left it. Folded in half, still a little damp from the night air. But when I opened it, it looked off. I looked again. The map was different. Same trail name, same forest logo, same basic outline. But our red marker, the "You Are Here" dot, was in a completely different part of the loop. Problem was, we hadn't moved, we didn't pack up, we didn't hike. Everything was just as we left it. At first, I figured it was just a misprint. Maybe we grabbed the wrong version. But then my girlfriend said, "Didn't the creek used to be west of us?" She pointed to the stream we crossed yesterday. On the map, it was now behind us. East. I pulled out my compass. North was still north, but the landmarks around us no longer matched. We hiked back toward the trailhead, sticking to the direction we remembered. But after an hour, the terrain changed. Sharper inclines, different trees, deeper brush. It didn't feel like the same path. Then we found a second trail sign. Brand new wood, same trail name, but the mileage didn't match what we remembered. And next to it, zip-tied to the post, was a plastic sleeve. Inside, a copy of our map, same paper, same route. But this one had no red marker. It was blank. I looked at her. She looked at me. We didn't say anything. We picked a direction and started walking fast. Didn't eat, didn't stop, just moved. When we finally found the parking lot 4 hours later, our car was the only one there. I checked my phone. No photos from the trip, just one file, a voice memo I don't remember recording. It was short, just static and one line in my voice. "We're not where we started." This came from a retired bus driver who worked the backroads around Tucker County. She followed every rule, except once. She still won't talk about what happened after. I used to drive a school bus through some of the more rural parts of West Virginia. Long, winding roads, barely paved roads, and a lot of quiet hills. There was one road, Hollow Creek Road, that had a narrow metal bridge labeled Bridge 76. I passed it every morning, but never crossed it. Not because of the sign, because of what the other drivers said. "Never take it after 9. I laughed the first time I heard that. Just an old story, I figured. Something to haze new drivers. They said if you crossed it late at night, you wouldn't make it back out the same way. So I didn't. Until one rainy night, years later, I had a late field trip return. Had to drop off the last 2 students near that stretch. I could have turned around, backtracked. But it was already 9:15, and the shortcut over Bridge 76 would save me 20 minutes. I slowed at the sign. Headlights hit the wet metal rails. Nobody else on the road. I crossed. It was silent except for the rain ticking on the windshield. About halfway across, my headlights flickered. Then everything went black for 2 seconds. When they came back on, I was still on the bridge. Only now, the end looked farther away. I kept driving, crossed to the other side, turned onto Hollow Creek. Then I passed the same fork again, same mailbox, same rock with graffiti. I told myself I must have looped accidentally, so I kept going. 10 minutes later, same curve, same bridge. Now I was sweating. My hands started to shake. I passed it a 3rd time, then a 4th. Same bus, same seats, same 2 kids behind me. Quiet as ever. But the 5th time, when I looked in the rearview mirror, only 1 kid was there. I slammed the brakes, got up, turned on the cabin lights. "Where's your friend?" I asked. He just looked at me, blinked. I think he already got off. I didn't stop, not once. We crossed that bridge 6 times before I finally saw something new. A gas station up ahead. I pulled over. The kid was gone. No door opened, no sound, just gone. I walked inside, pale as a ghost. Asked the clerk what town I was in. He said, "You're back in Thomas." That's the town I started in over 2 hours ago. I asked if he saw anyone get off the bus. He said, "Ma'am, you're the only one here." This story came from a guy who moved to a rural property outside Elkins. It was supposed to be a clean slate, until he checked the edge of his land. I bought my place sight unseen, a fixer-upper cabin on a few wooded acres in West Virginia. It was a bank foreclosure, dirt cheap, and I was ready to get off-grid for a while. The listing said, 4.2 acres, cleared boundary, outbuildings removed. That last part? A lie. A week after moving in, I was walking the tree line near the back of the property when I noticed something big, round, metal, and rusted out, maybe 30 yards into the woods, a silo, old, maybe 20 feet tall, faded red paint, half covered in ivy. But here's the thing. There was no mention of it in the deed or inspection report. I figured maybe it was on a neighbor's land, but my GPS showed I was well within my property line. The front hatch was locked with a rusted chain, no windows, just a narrow vent at the top and a warped metal door. That night, I asked the local hardware guy about it. He went quiet for a second, then said, "That side of the mountain used to have grain silos. Most got torn down." Then he asked exactly where I lived. When I told him, he blinked slow and said, "If there's one left out there, don't go inside." I should have listened. A few days later, I went back. I brought bolt cutters, gloves, and my flashlight. The chain came off easier than I expected. The door creaked open like it hadn't moved in years. Inside was dark, dusty. The floor was dirt and old wood slats. Nothing but silence. Until I stepped in and heard something crunch under my boot. A paper, a photo. It was a Polaroid, faded, curled at the edges. Looked like it had been taken from up in the trees, aimed right at my cabin. Recent, like post-restoration. I stepped back, shined my light around. More Polaroids, tucked into the metal seams. One was of my truck. One was of me on the porch, drinking coffee. I turned and ran, but the door was closed. Not locked, but heavier now. Like something was pushing back. I shoved until it gave. As I stepped outside, I noticed something nailed into the outside wall that wasn't there before. Another Polaroid. This one was taken from inside the silo. It showed my back, standing right where I'd just been, flashlight in hand. I burned that photo. Sold the cabin 6 weeks later. The new owners messaged me last month, said they cleared out the tree line. They found the silo, still sealed. No door, no photos. But hanging from a nail, a Polaroid of me.